everybody, welcome back to the garage. Oval window racing garage. As stated in the previous video, Hubert is put away for the summer. Strange, yeah. Well, it's because we work on Simon in the summer and he gets put away for the winter. And this is going to be, well, not really part two, but the second half of the safety updates, and that is the brakes we're putting on Simon here. We put the CB Performance front brakes on. They weighed in, I think, a little over 11 pounds more than the drum brakes, surprisingly. Where's my sheet? Yeah, about 11 pounds more. And we are now getting ready to do the rear. I can't really put the rear on until I get the transmission all tore down and tore apart, rebuilt, put back together, but then we put the brakes on. I can measure the drum brakes right now. I do have them pulled off with the backing plates. I'll measure them with the backing plates and the shoes, and I believe it's a bearing retaining hub thingy majigger. But yeah, well, we can get to that here. Okay, here's the backing plates with the brakes and the hubs. Hubs, that's a drum, brake drum, and I'm going to include the four nuts that hold this bearing retainer on, because I believe the bearing retainer I purchased comes with came with some nuts too, or bolts. So I got to look and see. These are factory ones, and I like to continue running factory stuff if I can, but I don't know what's included in this whole kit here. But here, let's figure out how to turn this thing back on. I just gotta hit the on button. Set you guys down. Well, it's still calibrated there. Pick it up, put it down. And let's take a look. 35? 23.7. Surprisingly, it's a little bit more than the front ones. Okay, wrote that down, and I wasn't thinking. 23.7 is what we got for the drums. The front ones with the spindles were 26 pounds. So about less than, well, not quite 3 pounds difference from the front to the rear. I'm thinking these are going to be a little heavier because the rotor is also the hub all included in one. So they're going to be pretty heavy. Then you got calipers and pads and well, the bearing retainer is aluminum, so I got something going for me there. I'll take a look at that here real quick. Yeah, here's the bearing retainer. It is aluminum, and it did come with its own hardware here. And I got to decide whether or not I want to run the old hardware or the new hardware. I did notice when I took Simon apart here that one of my retainers, well, one of the rear seals was leaking, and I don't know, I've always had a problem with them leaking. That's kind of why I'm replacing them. But they were loose. I don't know if some idiot forgot to tighten them. The idiot would be me, of course. Or, you know, 1,000 miles run around Michigan last year, loosened them up, because I did notice my homemade truss bar up in there, those were loose too. So either I got hasty and in a hurry, they taken the transmission in and out of the car so many times last year that I skipped a couple steps, or things just loosen up. I do know things do loosen up without time, or through time, with a solid mounted car, and you gotta stay on top of that and keep checking stuff. But I could have also just not tightened everything down. I was in a hurry. Now these retainers, I gotta kind of thank J-Bugs. I did not get these from J-Bugs, or I did not get these from MP. I am partially sponsored by MP, but I purchased these things in full. I actually got these from Apple Tree Automotive here in Michigan. They had the best price on them with free shipping. These were actually competitive with J-Bugs pricing too, but since I was ordering from Apple Tree, I ordered them from Apple Tree. Apple Tree did work with me really well on these things because I had questions, because the kit for these was labeled, I believe, 58 on up to wherever the swing axle stopped, 67, I think, 68, somewhere around there. And these do have a parking brake. I wanted a parking brake. That was the thing that was different on this kit that I wasn't sure. They're saying that the e-brakes from like the 63 to the 56 are different. I thought the pans were all the same, but apparently there's something a little different in the oval window pans than there is in the 63 pans. So I'm hoping, you know, I stressed my concerns with the gentleman I was dealing with over at Apple Tree, and he said he'd look into it, and he notified MP, and he's hoping that MP put the right brake cables in here, parking brake cables. So we'll find out when we get to that stage of installing them. But for the retaining bearing, J-Bugs said that they had problems or on the earlier cars with them fitting. So he recommended these, and these are actually off of, I think when I looked up the part number, these are for like an IRS. So I'm hoping these work. If not, we'll be looking into them. But I do appreciate J-Bugs, you know, giving me that information. I never actually purchased anything from Apple Tree either, and I was really happy with the service I've got. And you know, I live in Michigan. Apple Tree's in Michigan. They're a Silver Lake thing. If you guys know anything about Silver Lake, it's a big sand dunes here in Michigan. For you people out west, you know, it's like Glamis, but smaller, much smaller. Forget, I think it's only 70 to 100 acres of sand dunes that you're allowed to drive recreational vehicles on. I mean, there is a lot more sand dunes on there, but you know, they're trying to preserve them, so I think you can hike them, but you can't ride your recreational vehicles on them. But there is plenty of sand over there when it's not so busy. But yeah, I got to get the transmission built. Once I get that built, I can put the brakes on. I also probably got some maintenance to do on the engine sitting over there. And then we'll get busy. Real quickly here, guys, I got this thing tore apart. And yeah, look at the carnage. Go down here. And that is first gear and first gear idler. That is an example of what happens if you don't preload your transmission properly. Yeah, we're getting really good at this, taking every gear or tooth off of the gears. I gotta learn how to quit doing that. I'm just hoping. I know when I was driving, the car kept locking up here, and I noticed there's some debris in second gear here. I'm just hoping I didn't hurt third or fourth gear, because I plan on running those again. First and second gear, no. All right, just a quick sneak peek inside the transmission. Showing you some of the replacement parts here. This here is a Weddle main shaft from Weddle Industries. Not sponsored, had to pay for it, of course. This should be, I wouldn't say stronger, but should be more durable than the stock units that come in the factory boxes. I went with a 344 first gear. Standard Super Beetle main shaft is a 378. So, you know, trying to keep the wheelies down a little bit, and maybe pull and build, maybe help build boost more in first gear. 208 on the second, factory's 206, so not a whole lot of changes there. You do have to go with what Weddle calls, I guess, their hybrid hub. I was noticing that this main shaft here is a little smaller round than a Super Beetle main shaft, and you can kind of see that here. This is a factory third and fourth gear slider hub assembly, where this is the Weddle hybrid one. It's matched up with first gear here, 344. This is the idler, and then the second gear idler. Third gear, I'm still going to be running the 126 third. It's off an 02 bus transmission. I think some of the early maybe not Super Beetle, but some of the later boxes had those in there. And then a 082, the same fourth gear. I did have a little mishap with third gear. I had to replace it because of that. One tooth went through, and surprisingly only broke the gear, not the idler. So I thought it'd be safe to replace it. I got to give Bill from B&D Transmission, I believe it is. I didn't get one of his stickers. Huh. He actually had one in stock, and I was able to run locally here and pick it up. Oh yeah, and there's my quaif. Two-wheel spin, baby. Hard part is done. I now have my transaxle back in the car, bolted and ready to go. Hopefully it's in there for a while. The next step is going to be to put those down here. And I'll show you a little trick here. Something I do, since I don't have anything, I don't have the bearing retainer on, I just zip tie. You can wire, you can string, just to keep the axle pushed up that way. The last thing you want to do is have the axle, this bearing slide out of here and the axle come this way in your, what the heck they call those things, and have your fulcrum plates go behind your axle. Then you're in trouble. You gotta take it all back out and do it all over again, because it's almost impossible to do, it's hard enough to do, get those fulcrum plates lined up on an engine stand, but when it's in a car, that's gotta be darn near impossible. All right, so let's get back to wrenching. I got the engine on the stand now, and yeah, time to get that cleaned up. I want to get a valve job done on it and try to figure out where the oil's coming from. I was kind of thinking last year that I may have a leak in the oil cooler. I put new seals in it, cleaned it all up, and it looks fine, but most oil seems to be coming down this side of the engine, so wish me luck in trying to find that. But yeah, today's subject is the brakes. All right, I finally kind of got all the empty stuff out for the rear brakes things here, and I actually read somebody else's idea, the instructions or destructions, but I'm a little confused at one of the things on here, and well, not exactly 100% confused, because I was kind of warned. I think earlier I mentioned something about these retainer caps, and it does say in the instructions that anything that's pre-60 and older is going to interfere with the rotor, and I'm not really understanding where it would interfere at, so I'm going to have to actually assemble and stuff. But where I'm kind of stuck is I do have 56 here, and I have the original retainers, been using them for a while, and I've got these. I don't remember what I pulled these off of. They look fairly similar, but they're a little different shape here. And then the ones I bought, and I know these fit IRS, because that's what they recommended. Well, but where I'm having my problem at, we'll flip them over here, is each one of these bearing depths is different. This is the shallowest of them all. And if I go to use this one, along with the backing plate here, or caliper bracket, I think it's still going to be loose. I've only kind of just hand fitted them. I haven't, bolted anything down yet. But I think I may have to try using these first. So I guess what I'm going to do is just do a mock-up, and then hope I don't pull my axle out of the axle tube and relocate my fulcrum plates. Yeah, so that's where I am right now, because if I do drop that, the fulcrum plates out of there, that means everything's going to come back out of the back of the car, put it back up on the stand, and you can see I've already got my engine half tore down on the stand. I do have two stands though. Actually, I use that one more for transmissions than anything. So, well, wish me luck. Well, I got to take that back. I actually put this bracket in, and it actually feels pretty good. It's not loose. It looks like the bearings all the way up against. I took the seal out. It's a better look at it. It looks like the bearings all the way up seated. I did kind of test fit this one too. This is the original one, and you could actually kind of grab a hold of the, well, I guess this one does wiggle a little bit. The other one was a lot more. I think I'm going to throw this one back on and take a look. So I took the seal out. When I had it on, I didn't have the seal. I had the seal still in. And then I'm going to mount the rotor to see how well it fits. See where the interference is. Okay, it's on there. I haven't got a final torque on there yet, but kind of spinning this around, and I don't hear anything grinding. Just a transmission moving. And the diff giving. And I've got a quaif in there, and normally what I do is stick the axle in with the fulcrum, and then put the transmission in gear, and then turn it. I make sure both axles are in, and then you can turn it, and it'll actually hold the axle in, because there would be no way for the axle to come out unless you roll it back to the open spot. And I don't know why I didn't do that. Got in a hurry to put it in the car, I guess. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to run these. I don't know what year these came off of. I don't even remember where I got them. Probably on a swing axle I tore apart sometime or another. Must be a newer one. They are a little different shape than the 56, and like I said, they're a little deeper. But I did some measuring, and this one, with the bracket and the depth on here for the bearing, equals like a 1/2 inch. And then I measured the bearing on the axle there, and that was just under a 1/2 inch. So there may be a little. Oh, well, after I put a gasket and stuff in there, I should be. Well, I'm thinking about that and thinking differently. Maybe I should try the aluminum one. I don't think aluminum's going to work. It was 100 thousandths difference. But yeah, this was a surprise, a complete kit. I didn't realize it came with the axle seal kit. I actually bought axle seal kits when I bought the aluminum bearing retainer. I did splurge for the, well, I didn't really splurge. I guess from what research I've done, there's 3 different kinds of these caliper brackets. I just went with the cast ones. They make a forged one, and I was watching a video from the V-Dub store. I think that's what it was. Should give them a shout out there. I've purchased a few things, some gasket kits and stuff from them. Yep, the VDubstore.com. And she's got a video on there where she talks about these things. And apparently the one that comes with the street version, this bracket's just kind of like stamped steel. And I guess there's been incidents where people have made some emergency stops and they bend a little bit, and then your caliper gets hung up and you can't go anywhere. So yes, I think she recommended getting this thing, but I think they have a forged version of this too if you want to spring for a little bit more. I decided not to this time. I figured I'd try these out, and I don't know if these are lighter or heavier, but oh, speaking of weights, I did go through and weigh these components separately. That's why I didn't really film it. But if we remember, the rear drums weighed almost 24 pounds complete. Well, I measured with the aluminum brackets here, and it came to just a tad over 20. But since I'm running, I don't know if these are any more heavy or not, but since I'm running this, I'm going to say 21 pounds. So they're actually lighter. Someone wants me. Yeah, I decided to try the aluminum bearing retainer, and I can't even get it bolted on all the way. It feels like it's flush down here, but it doesn't want to flush up here. And I'm not going to crank on it because I know I'm not going to use them, but I don't think the bearing fits. So I don't know if the IRS had a smaller wheel bearing, or maybe you just got to get these on there just right to get them to press in. And well, like I said, I'm not going to be using it. All right, I threw this stock one back on. This is the one that came with the car from 1956, the original. And if you look down in there, you can see the gap between the bearing and the retainer. So that's not good. That means you're gonna have a little play in the axle sliding in and out. So, yep, we're gonna go with the other ones I have because there wasn't much play in those at all, if not none at all. Well, there we go. I got both sides done, so now I don't have to worry about the axles falling out. Yep, pretty straightforward. Just followed the instructions that came with the kit, and yeah, Loctited and torqued the bolts down to 25 foot-pounds. And next will be to put the, well, they're not drums anymore, they're rotors, and then torque those down. Okay, so I did a thing today. Trial fitted tires on the brake rotors. I got this mounted on this side. I haven't done the other side yet. Got it torqued down, and I just wanted to trial fit to see what the offset was going to be like. And I can get a finger in between the spring plate and the slick here, but on the street tire, it was a little closer than that. I could get a piece of paper in there and a fingernail in there, but yeah, I think it'll be good. Well, of course, next is going to be to set the car down and get it at ride height to double check too. But I'm also checking, I got a trick thing here going on. I haven't got these studs Loctited in yet. They're just screwed in. And surprisingly, I learned something. I thought we weren't able to really legally run threaded studs, but I guess as long as the thread goes in as far as it is wide, that's legal. At least I hope so. So we'll find out. I may change out the lug nuts themselves. I haven't decided yet. Someone was telling me that I guess the race officials like to see your studs, so they just want an acorn nut on there, but I haven't had a problem running them like this. So I'll probably continue until I get told not to. But yeah, I'm not going to Loctite these in yet until I paint these. I think I'm going to paint the outside of the rotor just to make it look a little better, because this will probably rust up. Yeah, this is what I'm dealing with. Got these slicks, or not the slicks, these nice aluminum lightweight rims. I believe they were probably off a dune buggy, because they've got 14mm holes. And I'm dealing with 12mm studs, because that's what the 5-spokes use. So I found these studs with a lip that just happens to be the same size. Perfect for the rim. I'll show you here. They fit in there nicely. Now the only thing that I worry a little bit about, I actually had kind of the same setup on my drums, and I had these studs custom built, and I like these a little better because the lip where the rim sits on is a little bit more. I think I got a good 1/4 of an inch there, not here. And these rims are just a little bit wider than a 1/4 inch. So I'm hoping, you know, with a nice wider washer, it'll press up against the rim, and hopefully I don't damage anything. I'll have to keep an eye on it. If something does come up, I'll just have to have maybe make some of these custom studs. Again, another eBay purchase. I think these are for BMW or something. Still German, right? Oh boy, they are on, installed, and I went through and bled them a little bit. I got fluid to go through, and actually the pedal doesn't feel all that bad. And man, I think I'm gonna, you know, to make it's gonna make removal of the transmission easier, because now I can actually take the caliper off and hang it up over something, and you know, take the rotor, and I don't have to take apart brake drums to remove parking brakes and stuff. So yeah, I can just pull it all out. That's, speaking of parking brakes, that is what I got left to do, and somehow it hooks in here. Like I said, I opted for, I must go this way. Probably goes, I don't know, I gotta figure that all out. That's the next step. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Okay, I'm getting ready to install the parking brake cables, and this is the one they sent me, or the ones they sent me. There's two. And, you know, they've had a pretty good description of instructions here that were fairly easy to follow, but they don't really have a picture on how to hook the cables to the caliper. But yeah, it just should be pretty much straightforward. The problem is I got to remove the old ones, and unlike Sarah in Tune, I don't clean anything, especially if you don't see it. So this is going to be a messy job, because I got to remove the old ones, and then once I remove the old ones, install the new ones and hope they fit. They do have in the instructions cable. They look like extenders, but on here in the instructions they're calling them for shortening. So I guess if the cables are too long, they're supposed to be these cable adjusters. I'm seeing some set screws, and then some nuts. The C-clips are supposed to be for the parking brake to hook to the caliper, but I'm not seeing the cable adjusters. So I don't know if they didn't throw those in the kit, because hopefully I got the right ones, or maybe they forgot to throw them in the kit. Maybe the kit doesn't come with them, but yeah, those shouldn't be too expensive if I got to pick them up. But the only way to find out if they fit or not, or if I need them, is to actually get to work. All right, this is turning into kind of a little pain in the butt. I'm thinking my cables are going to be about right. That's about where the other ones kind of showed up. We'll find out when we try to figure out how to put this mess back all together. Oh my God, I did this once before, where this little clip comes off, and then you figure out how to hook her back all up, and then pin it back in there, and then run some cables through it and nut it all down. But just to give you an idea how that's supposed to go in there, there's a hole on the caliper that the cable runs through. And then a C-clip goes on the back side of that, and then it runs into that little groove there, and that's what operates the parking brake. Oh hey, we're done. That's a little bit of a hassle, but not too bad, and I'm still got parts left over. I thought maybe these were going to be for, you know, new nuts for the parking brake cables, but they didn't seem to screw on the parking brake cables. But I'm almost wondering if they were for the cable extensions that I didn't get, that I don't need, so that's good. And I got grub screws left over. But the only thing I got left to do is, like I said, I want to paint the outside of these before I put the studs in and the cotter key. I still got the cotter key to put in there. I forgot about that. And the hassle of putting the seat back in, and that's a job in itself. I gotta actually want to come up with a better way of getting the seat in and out, because I think it would probably be beneficial now that the car weighs about 22, well, roughly 22 pounds more. You know, I didn't put a whole lot of weight on the car, but you know, it's kind of time to start finding out how to take weight off the car. And I bet you this seat weighs more than 22 pounds. These are, I don't know if you caught my video before, out of like an early 2000 Corolla. And they fit well in the Bug. They're very comfortable. Actually, my buddy was really surprised. He's got back problems, and you know, we spent 1,200 miles on this thing last year. But I think I'm going to use the old Derek Vice Grip garage trick, and I'm going to mask most of this off with a trash bag, and then probably do a little tape, and then rattle can it. So I'm sorry that this really wasn't a how-to. You know, I didn't really show you guys how to do this. I just kind of captured my experience of putting it on there, and you know, it did kind of show a couple little things here and there that you may need to know when you do something like this. I'm not a brake specialist. I'm not a professional mechanic, so you know, I don't really want to show you how to do something like this. But there's good instructions, and you know, it's one of the first things that MP says in their instructions too. If you're not comfortable, hire a professional. And when you're doing those brake cables, like I said, it's kind of a hassle. You know, you may want to pull your seats out if you got good interior. I even managed to get grease in my hair, because those cables are greased when they go into the tunnel. And apparently when I put these cables in, I had even more grease. Oh well, I guess that's it. So keep cruising, keep shifting those gears, and always enjoy the ride. See you later. Before I was just another guy, look at me